What up, everybody? Welcome to Speak Now Pro Wrestling. It is Friday, August 23rd. I'm Denise Salcedo, and I'm so happy to be back once again to chat SmackDown with none other than Robin Lundberg. Robin, what is up? Also, I realized I just have the wrong lower third for you.
Oh, no. Yes, I'm not Righteous Reg. I would have a rap battle with him, though, if you want to do it one time on the show.
Dude, I would pay money to see that. That would be so freaking awesome.
I'm down if he's down. I don't know. I've never met him. We never talked. But if he's down, I'm down. You know, like
I'm gonna pitch the idea. That's so great. How are you, Robin?
I'm doing pretty good. I was in New Yeet City last weekend for Fanatics Fest with my oldest Raj, who I went to WrestleMania with. That was a cool time.
Dude, did he get to meet many wrestlers?
So he didn't meet them per se, but the thing that stood out to me about it, Denise, like, this is real talk. Obviously, Fanatics Fest is supposed to be for sports in general, sports collectibles in general. The whole sell was, you know, wear your favorite team or whatever. So you saw some jerseys, but the WWE had that joint on lock. Like, the amount of memorabilia and merchandise and just like shirts and stuff that you saw that was WWE related to everything else, absolutely crushed. And I was there on Saturday, which is the day Jey Uso was on a panel. That's why I got the Yeet shirt. And there was more Yeet than anything else in the building, period. Jay did a panel with Jade Cargill and Bianca Belair, hosted by my friend Peter Rosenberg, and Kaz introduced them, who interviewed CM Punk there. Like, so there was all this wrestling stuff. And then they did the activation, which I'm sure you saw at WWE World. I don't know if you saw that in Philly with the entrance musics where you like.
Oh yeah, those have been going. They've been doing those for several years now at several accesses for WWE.
Well, that had the most energy in the entire building, was that specific, because people even in the line are going along with it, right? And you know,
those are so fun to watch. You can stay there for like at least 20 to 30 minutes watching people do them.
Yeah, and my son did it multiple times as different wrestlers. But, you know, when a little kid came out as Dom Mysterio, got roundly booed. When anybody would come out as Roman Reigns, everybody else would throw their ones in the air. That's where Drew McIntyre did the CM Punk reveal. He came out to CM Punk's music and pulled the hoodie off and showed that it was him. And I'm telling you, there were two things that drove crazy energy in that building. One was WWE, and the other was people trying to get a glimpse of Jay-Z. Who was there.
Stop it.
Yeah.
And you know, you're the second person who has mentioned this, because someone on the chat mentioned that on one of the streams. I think it might have been on Monday. They said that they were at Fanatics Fest and that everybody else's lines were like pretty short, like relatively short, but the WWE lines, it was like, oh my God, like explosion. And here's the thing. I feel like WWE did a really great job at promoting Fanatics Fest. I mean, every single show for months, I feel like 6 months or however long, they were promoting Fanatics Fest. And I know this because I remember watching and going like, damn, they're already promoting that? That's not till August. And I remember thinking that when I first started to see the initial promotion for it. And so just seeing how much they invested in it, I feel like that is probably why there was such a big turnout of WWE fans. I'm sure it kind of didn't even feel like a sporting event. He probably felt like WWE World Part 2.
Exactly what it felt like. It felt like an extension of WrestleMania. Yeah. It felt like, oh, I was here before for this. Now I'm here for something else, and this is here.
Was it weird, though, with the sports fans that aren't wrestling fans?
I don't think so, because everything was sort of consolidated in its own area. So you would see there's a crowd. They're like, what is that crowd for? I'm like, oh, it's CM Punk. That's why. Like, you know, I would tell somebody as they're coming past, right? And you know, you had the entrance music thing, which was clear as day what that was for. But behind that were all the trading cards, you know, so people could move around and navigate as they wish. I'm just telling you anecdotally, the amount of shirts that were WWE related crushed everything else. And I can, you know how you feel an energy when you're in a building, and the energy around the WWE stuff was stronger than anything else, except for maybe, you know, people going like, that's Hove up there. There's Jay-Z, you know, like right around the pop-up 40/40 club that they put in there.
Oh my God, that's so cool. So what'd you do at Fanatics Fest?
I mean, exactly what I just said. I did a live appearance there on a radio show for WFAN, and I walked around with Raj to see the various things. I did an entrance. I mingled and stopped. I looked at trading cards, and then he kept. Oh, we went to the panel. We went to the the Jey Uso, Jade Cargill, Bianca Belair panel, which was interesting. And you know, like I said, he's this Matt. He was really bummed out when the Jey Uso autographs were sold out, or the pictures were sold out.
Oh, what a bummer.
I didn't realize, we didn't go to the last minute, but he also then, you know, made me stay the entire time. He's like, we're staying till it's closed. And I'm like, we already did everything, dude. We can't go back. Like, no, we're staying until it's closed. And I have one more suggestion, or actually ask for your audience, because my son Raj has asked me to do a wrestling channel and show with him. And I've told him I would do it. And because I'm his dad, I'm going to do it. I'm not going to tell him I'm going to do something and not do it. That's part of being a dad, right? But I need some help on I want to format it right so that it works. So if anybody has any suggestions, hit me up. You know, he's aware of other wrestling, but he's a WWE fan. So, you know, a WWE themed father and son show, if there's a concept you guys think would really work, hit me up about that.
There's got to be something. There's got to be something out there. It could be like Robin Lundberg and El Hijo de Robin Lundberg. I don't know. All right, well, pitch some ideas, guys. Send them in, and we're going to get into SmackDown. But here we go. First and foremost, thank you so much to Kevin Zwicker, who says, SmackDown had me yawning tonight. Isn't that sad that that's our first super chat? Because today's show wasn't the most explosive show. It was just a show. That's it. It was just a show. We have some items to talk about, but again, it wasn't necessarily the biggest, most hard-hitting, news-breaking type of show.
I can't quite put my finger. I feel like there was one thing missing from the show.
One pretty big thing, actually.
Yeah. Which one was it? Can anybody help me pinpoint what the one thing that was missing from the show might have been? It's such a huge difference, Denise. Like, you can't ignore it. Like, even if there was one Roman Reigns segment, you would have felt like this is a big show. But because there's not that one Roman Reigns segment, you feel like this is a B show.
And it shouldn't be like that, though. It shouldn't be like that, because there was, it's not like we had Roman Reigns every single week for like such a long period of time. It shouldn't be like, oh, we absolutely need Roman Reigns on the show. But today's episode, I was sitting here going, damn, I miss Roman Reigns. Everybody's constantly chanting, we want Roman. Damn, I really meant it this time. When I heard the crowd chanting, I felt like they really meant it this time. Before it was like, yeah, we want Roman. I think now it's like, we want Roman, damn it, like you got to give us Roman. But I think that, again, it should not be like that. Like, some of these other stories need to be, thriving and freaking feeling special and unique on their own. And again, there's some good stuff, but I feel like a lot of it, I hope that they're saving for the go home show into Bash at Berlin, because they are going to have a pretty, crazy crowd, as all international crowds are. So I really hope that next week's SmackDown is a lot stronger than this week's episode, because this week's episode, I thought, damn, I felt like it could have been easily just missed.
Well, and look, I think we have to be real about it too, where it started with the champ, right? Like, it's Cody Rhodes, it's Kevin Owens, and I think it was Sam Roberts who said this, and I watched his commentary, and I thought it was spot on. I feel like these feuds and angles that they're doing with Cody, where the basic theme is, we respect each other so much, let's go see who's the better man. Like, you can't keep doing that. I know AJ Styles eventually turned on him in that, but it started as, we respect each other so much, let's go see who's the better man. And you feel like that's the same thing going with Kevin Owens. I will say, though, they definitely teased at the end the idea of Kevin hitting him with the belt. He gave him that look before he handed it over. So at least they're planting those sort of seeds. But overall, it feels like the Cody feuds are built too much around mutual respect to get
right.
And interest.
It took a second, though, because I remember we were sitting there talking about the AJ Styles, Cody Rhodes feud, and it wasn't until like them going into the second match where it started to feel like it was being built into something a lot more than that. And then I feel like, okay, the Kevin Owens stuff, that one's, I feel, is so different. It's so different. Obviously, the stuff that he did with Solo Sikoa, great. They hate each other. Phenomenal. I think that's what we were getting. Cool. But now with the Kevin Owens situation, let's get into that because I thought this was interesting because we started off the show with Cody Rhodes on the Grayson Waller effect, and he's there with Grayson Waller and Austin Theory, and they're, talking shit. They're pretty much shitting on their guests, right? Like they have Cody on there, but they're not being respectful to him at all. And that's just the way that their show is. And this essentially leads to Kevin Owens going out there and being like, let's cut all the bullshit. We already know this is going to lead to a tag team match. And then we closed out the show with the tag team match, Cody Rhodes and Kevin Owens teaming up against Grayson Waller and Austin Theory. And here's the thing. Fun match. KO wins with a pop-up powerbomb. Cool. But like you said, it was the ending of the show that really got us, that gave us a thread. It gave us a thread to start pulling at because we had been anticipating, okay, is there going to be any sort of tension between Cody Rhodes and Kevin Owens? Because if we rewind a little bit, Cody Rhodes basically gave this opportunity to Kevin Owens for all of the nice things that Kevin Owens had done for him. But there, like you said, there's no animosity. Earlier on the Grayson Waller Effect show, they did play a video sort of rehashing all of the times that Kevin Owens has turned on people. And guess what? I think they successfully got into Cody Rhodes' head because in that moment where Kevin Owens like sort of gave him the belt, he took that as like, all of a sudden, we're starting to see Cody Rhodes doubt himself. And you don't often see that side of Cody. You don't see Cody look like he doesn't trust the person he said he was going to trust. So I thought that was interesting. But here's the thing, Robin, and ask me if you think I'm crazy, but I didn't sense that the turn was necessarily coming from Kevin Owens in that moment. I kind of felt just a little bit like thinking, what if this really is all in Cody's head?
Except for if you go back and watch the clip, KO has the belt like up here and gives one of these like, little pump fakes that we've all seen.
Okay, see, I didn't notice that. I felt like he just went and he just gave it to him and then started focusing on everybody else. No, so did he do like a little...
Yeah, to me, it looked like he pumped it. The belt hit we've all seen before. You're not looking. I'm hitting you in the back of the head with the belt. Like, it looked like he gave a little pump fake of that and then took that energy and re-channeled it into a, like, here you go, handoff, right? And that's what Cody took umbrage with. So I think what they were trying to do, and I suppose successfully did here, was plant the seeds from both sides, where it was like, oh, is KO going to turn on Cody? And is Cody being paranoid about KO eventually turning on Cody?
And I feel like they did it pretty naturally because the fact that I just went into this going like, oh shit, like Kevin Owens is just so fired up that he's going to toss this bout to Cody Rhodes and go and continue and try to get at these guys. I feel like they kind of did it very subtly then because I didn't even notice that part.
Yeah. No, I saw one of the, I think it was Wrestle Ops or whatever with the eye emojis. And then I went back and watched it because I didn't catch it in the live either. Like
interesting.
And so I had to go back and watch it, but I do definitely think they planted those seeds there. My only issue is, and maybe it's like to start a long running thread with Cody where he's constantly feeling because he's on top and I've been the good guy and I've been respectful, but yet people are still turning on me. That's an interesting sort of character and psychological study. But at the same time, I still don't think Kevin Owens is a threat whatsoever to Cody's championship ring. Just like I didn't think AJ Styles was a threat whatsoever to Cody's championship ring. So even if either of those guys, or we already know AJ did, even if Owens was to turn on him, what does that mean for their specific feud other than you're upping some animosity versus, what does it mean for Kevin Owens going forward? Because I don't think he's the one obviously taking the belt off Cody.
I think if Kevin Owens does turn heel and he gets into this program with Cody Rhodes, I actually would love that. I would love that because I feel like Kevin Owens to me is always like the person that no matter what has hella entertaining match. He's good on promos. He connects with the audiences. And I feel like a feud with Kevin Owens where Kevin Owens is the heel with Cody Rhodes could actually be a very exciting thing on the show because it's been a while since we've seen, I know we've seen, Kevin Owens sort of flip-flop a lot. We've seen that happen, but it feels like it's been a hot minute since we've seen a heel Kevin Owens. And if you remember too, how many times didn't we see him work against Roman Reigns during his, 4-year reign that we have? We all know the history with Kevin Owens and the Bloodline. And so I feel like I personally really remember enjoying Kevin Owens and Roman Reigns. And I would love to see Kevin Owens and Cody Rhodes like have a program where Kevin Owens is not a good guy, where Kevin Owens is the bad guy. Like, I'm cool with that. I would want to see that.
Well, he's so likable that it's going to take something really nefarious and dastardly.
These are two likable guys, Robin, both of them.
But I mean, here's the thing with Kevin Owens. And I say this about, he and Sami Zayn obviously worked very closely together, but those guys were thought of in a certain way about their ability to perform way back when they did the WrestleMania programs with Stone Cold Steve Austin and Johnny Knoxville, respectively. Because you don't put, no offense to Stone Cold, legend, obviously, but you don't put an old-ass Steve Austin who can only work a very specific style of match in there with just anybody. You have to put him in there with somebody can carry that very specific style of match and still make it entertaining and still make it work with the crowd. That was Kevin Owens. Just like Johnny Knoxville, obviously you can't just put anybody in the ring with Johnny Knoxville and get the beautiful masterpiece that we got between Johnny Knoxville and Sami Zayn. So I think that's always like a behind the scenes way that you're taken in without it being overt, without them saying, hey, we really trust those guys. That is them showing you, hey, we really trust those guys by the situation that they were put in. And to your point from before, I think, Kevin Owens is trusted to be able to carry this program because he's always entertaining. And because, you get him in the right situation with Cody, he's going to take those bumps too, which are going to pop the crowd. So that's why he's probably been chosen as the opponent for this in-between build till we get to that. We're almost back to the road to WrestleMania, really.
So what do you predict here? Do you predict something going down at the next SmackDown that we get right before Berlin? Or do you expect something to go down during the match where suddenly you realize like, oh, this isn't the Kevin Owens that we know. Kevin Owens is not really acting like himself, or what's happening here? Do you think it'll happen at Berlin or, before Berlin or after? Who knows? This could even be a thing that happens afterwards.
I think this is the kind of one that would work in the match because of the seeds of doubt that we're talking about. You plant more of the seeds of doubt in the buildup so that it is on your mind when it's happening, but it's not been explicitly told you or explicitly revealed. And then whether or not you go full turn in the midst of the match or another, like one of the moments that, something happens where KO does something that would be considered out of character, even if it was an accident and Cody Rhodes doesn't realize that it was an accident, one of those sort of moments. I think that would heighten the drama of the match specifically.
I think so too, and I would like to see that. And I feel like it just, like you said, it needs that little extra kick heading into Berlin. So that was pretty much like the biggest part of the show. So make sure to send in your thoughts. Let us know what you guys thought about this, how you guys feel about the dynamics of the feud that we're seeing right now with Cody Rhodes and Kevin Owens. Do you necessarily want to see Kevin Owens turn heel, or do you think you can enjoy what you're seeing with both parties, acting as currently they are? So let's go ahead and see what people are saying. First and foremost, thank you so much to Sheldon Jackson, as always, for gifting 5 DWO memberships. He also sends in a very generous super chat, so thank you so much to Sheldon, who says, SmackDown was in my neck of the woods tonight in DC, but after that show tonight, kind of glad I didn't go. I'd rather rewatch the post show from this past Wednesday with Denise learning a new phrase and the chaos that ensued after. Oh my God, Robin, this Wednesday's Dynamite post show was one of the craziest post shows ever.
Can you tell me what happened? Because I actually saw someone tweet something to the effect that was my favorite post show ever, and then I saw you follow it up. But no offense, I haven't seen it yet. So.
It's okay. Let's just leave it at Sheldon Jackson has now associated the term pillow princess with me.
Okay.
I was going to say that. It's very, I didn't know how to prepare you, Robin. I did not know how to prepare you.
I don't know what the term pillow princess means.
Oh, wait, you don't know?
No, but it sounds like it goes good with Blue Chew. I don't.
Okay, but I'm glad because I didn't know either. I didn't know what a pillow princess was. I had to Google it. So I'm glad that.
Hiding a pillow?
It's basically like kind of, I don't know, like the official, like I was reading the official definition last week, but just to summarize, it's basically the girl in bed that doesn't really you don't really do too much work. She kind of just lays there.
Oh, like a dead fish.
Terrible. And I'm like, why the hell? It was a whole thing. I can't even explain to you how we got there, what happened afterwards. It was a mess.
So why were you associated with being a pillow princess?
Oh my God. Long story short, I just told Reg that I prefer to be the one receiving a great kiss than giving a great kiss. Okay. And that one comment led to all of that.
I see. You just want to be loved. It's okay.
And this was all Sheldon Jackson's fault.
I think
Sheldon Jackson's fault.
After all the DWO memberships, he's got a little grace, no?
And they were trying to get me, Robin. They were trying to get me to put this on my handle, on my profile, Pillow Princess. Can you imagine Denise Pillow Princess Salcedo?
Well, for how long? I mean, I could see it as a gag for like. No.
I would at least have to be paid.
Yeah. Well, maybe there's got to be. I mean, the My Pillow guy's out of business, right? But there's got to be somebody that does those things.
I can't even imagine the kind of people that I would welcome to my page if that was in my handle or something crazy like that.
Yeah, I mean, I guess especially with the way X is nowadays.
Yeah.
Where it's triple X sometimes anytime you go into a reply section.
So I posted a little GIF of the Little Mermaid on her little pillow. All right, I'm done. But anyways, it went off the rails. This Wednesday's show really went off the rails. But thank you so much to Sheldon. We got Toby here who says, why do they still call Cody's title undisputed if it isn't by definition disputed as soon as you add another world heavyweight title? So right now, how are they classifying this? Because I always get these mixed up. I don't know about you, Robin, but I always forget how exactly they're coining it. Undisputed WWE champion. That's what they're going with. But there's times where I feel like they just refer to him as WWE champion. And then there's times where I forget and I want to say universal WWE champion because I just think of the U word. So I always kind of get thrown off by that.
Well, Roman had the belt for 4 yeyears and they called it the Universal Championship. So I don't think
that's why. Right. That's why I keep wanting to say undisputed universal, blah, 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 blah. It's a lot.
That is interesting. I guess because it must be due to the introduction of the heavyweight championship that they didn't want one to feel so much bigger than the other, like the Universal Championship, and it's just more the prestige WWE Championship or the OTC WWE Championship.
What do you prefer? If they
like Universal.
Yeah, I was gonna say if you had me choose between Undisputed and Universal, I would go with Universal, or hell, I would just do like WWE Champion. That's it. I'm good with that.
I like Universal because it's different than heavyweight Universal. At
right.
least there's some sort of distinction between the two titles only for my own brain to be able to draw a line.
Dude, for me, it's the Women's Championship. I always forget which one's the WWE Women's Champion, and then there's the Women's World Champion. Every time I flip-flop them all the time. I'm just like, you know what? You're the Women's Champion on SmackDown. You're the Women's Champion on Raw. It's terrible. Now I get why they did the Raw, why they would brand them before. I get it now. They've accustomed us to that.
I mean, it is a good testament to how many talented performers there are because, back in the day, it was just the Intercontinental Championship that was the stepping stone to the World Championship. And now there's 2 World Championships that are ambiguously indistinguishable and an Intercontinental Championship and a U.S. Championship on the men's side. So, and a soon to be, I would think, Intercontinental Championship on the women's side.
We got Sleaze Boy here who says if WWE champion ever gets injured, instead of relinquishing the title, just have them kidnapped by the ninjas. They did it to Samoa Joe and TNA. I love how random this is, Sleaze Boy. Like, thank you so much for bringing us something totally different and unexpected here on the show. Hey, you know where all the kidnapping happens. This is probably bound to play out on NXT. So your NXT champion will probably get kidnapped by ninjas.
I mean, ninjas are good at stealth, so they'd be good at kidnapping. I guess. I
mean, you do have the New Day. They've been dressing like ninjas, like the Ninja Turtles. hey, you never know. They can go down to NXT. I don't no idea. Thank you so much to Sleaze Boy. We got Phil Oimet, who says, hey, Denise, Robin, nice to meet you. I think the real heel for Kevin Owens, I think the heel turn for Kevin Owens at Berlin has to be the first real feud for Cody as WWE champion. Extend this to Bad Blood, even beyond that, enjoying the show so far. Thank you so much, Phil. See, it's hard to say because I do consider the feud that he had with AJ Styles like a first feud, and the stuff with Solo Sikoa, it was by extension of the feud that he had with the Bloodline in general, with Roman Reigns, and so that one kind of felt like it was an extension. The Kevin Owens one will feel I think it will. I get what Phil means by the real, like, official first feud for him, just because the AJ Styles one started the way that it did. But I do definitely count the AJ Styles one.
Yeah, I would count it as a few. With the Solo Sikoa thing, I guess, I mean, they main evented SummerSlam. So, I mean, in a sense, that's has to be some sort of a feud there, even if it was tied into a previous feud. I mean, the Bad Blood stuff, they got a lot of that going around. I mean, I think if you center that around like Hell in the Cell matches or whatnot, obviously prime candidates would be Punk and Drew, Liv and Rhea. And then I think KO would work great within that, obviously, venue, and that, not to say that that's definitely what they're doing, but they have in the past.
It feels like they could go that direction.
Yeah, and do a whole bunch of like payoffs to what they've been doing so far, and then turn the page to the build to the next big things that will culminate around the Rumble and WrestleMania.
Yeah, I do kind of like that idea. Like all the matches that you just mentioned right now, that all feels like that's what we're bound to see at Bad Blood. Phil, thank you so much for this generous super chat. We got Sheldon Jackson, who says, as a follow-up, how many stars have you sent Reg since Wednesday? I haven't even texted Reg since Wednesday. I don't even know what the last thing I texted Reg was. I was going to send him a joke, but I'm trying the joke out first. No, I haven't sent any of the texts that I said I was going to send. So I'm trying to play this joke on my friends, Robin, but I'm doing it first to Will. I sent him a joke and I'm waiting for him to respond. And if he responds the way I want him to, I'm going to test it out and I'm going to send it to everybody else.
So what stars are we talking about? Is this like a Meltzer rating system for Pillow Princesses or what? What's going on?
Okay, so basically I told Reg that whenever I'm not a pillow princess, read between the lines, I'm going to send him this picture.
So I was spot on.
You were pretty much spot on. So he'll know when I would have performed very well. Yeah. I will send this picture.
Okay.
So that's like pretty much the whole like running joke there, but I unfortunately have not sent any to Reg. Don't worry, they're coming. I'm working on it. It'll happen. All right. I'm telling you, Robin, shit hit the fan. Hit the fan.
That's the stuff people always remember, though. I mean, Denise, I've done, this stuff for a long, long time, and you'll give the best takes, you'll do the best conversations about whatever, and it's something random that you did one time that someone will come up to you 10 years from now and say, hey, I was watching your stream and you're talking about Pillow Princess.
Are you a Pillow Princess for reals? Please do not ask me that if you ever meet me in person. I would die. Oh my gosh. So let's go ahead and continue on here with some other topics from SmackDown. Actually, we do have a super chat here from Sleaze Boy, who says, if you ever meet and interview Dirty Dom, let him know he's part of the Players Club. Please give him my card. Oh, so BTW, I have interviewed Dominic Mysterio twice, so you could find that here on the channel. And you know what's interesting too about those interviews, Robin? Yeah. I think they're like a year and a half apart. And there is such a big difference from the first time where I spoke with Dominic. The first time I spoke with him, he was like a little boy. It was just like talking to a little boy. And then the next, I'm talking to Prison Dom, because that's when he was Prison Dom. Yeah. And I haven't talked to him since he was Prison Dom. So I need to talk to him now, because I'm almost getting him like growing up in WWE.
I mean, look, he's come a long way too, right? Like, when I first saw him, it's like, it's Rey Mysterio's kid and he's a scrub. Like, that was the first thought that came into my, and the difference now between then and what I think at the time, it couldn't be couldn't be larger because I mean, I told you at Fanatics Fest, somebody came out to his music, a little kid, and got booed into oblivion.
I wonder if that little kid knew, like, he's gonna get booed.
Oh no! I mean, once he heard the boo, when I say little, it wasn't like he was like 3. You know, he was like
a teenager,
10, 11 years old. Like
okay.
in the
that
range.
Takes guts, man. I would not come out to Dominic's music in fear of getting booed.
I was booing the crap out of him.
That's gonna humble that kid. That kid's gonna grow up and be a kind gentleman. And when people ask him, why are you so nice? I got booed once at a convention.
He knew what he was doing. He knew the character he was playing. And that's that's Dominic, the heat that he's gotten to Latino heat has a whole different meaning from the previous generation to Dominic Mysterio.
Seriously. Alrighty, Sleaze Boy, thank you so much for sending that in. We got Chris Ledeck is in the house. What up? Chris says, did you eat dinner at 3 today? And since that time, have you had a cookie? Also, if they move the whole bloodline to Raw, who would you move over to SmackDown to even it out? So I did eat dinner actually today at 3:50. I was running late. I had things to do. And I did not have a cookie. I had 2 popsicle sticks. And as for who would I move from Raw if they were to move over the whole SmackDown, the whole bloodline from SmackDown, dude, you would have to do Seth Rollins. You would have to do Drew McIntyre. I mean, those would be the first 2 names that I would think of.
So is that because of the promotion for Raw on Netflix? Is that why people are saying that?
I'm guessing.
I think by the time we get there, one, they're going to do whatever they can to blow that out the water, right? Like, so, the heavy hitters are going to be there. Does that mean that they're going to consistently be appearing on Raw? I don't think any of us know. I also, don't know if that means they'll revamp the entire way they present the product at that point in time because of the delineation and the importance of it and all that. But the SmackDown cannot afford to lose the bloodline. I mean, SmackDown is the bloodline. I mean, basically, it's the bloodline show. So if you're changing that, you would have to make drastic changes, and you'd have to move like Rhea Ripley, I think, over to SmackDown.
It would feel so weird. I kind of want the bloodline to stay forever on SmackDown. Like, let that be their show. Because that's just what feels natural at this point. Like, there's so much that has happened. I mean, you could do like the SmackDown bloodline era, and then all of a sudden the Raw bloodline era. But I feel like, no, I feel like they should remain on SmackDown, keep that as is. And in terms of a big thing too that we're going to be having next year is John Cena. John Cena is going to be doing several dates. So I'm assuming he's going to be on both Raw and SmackDown. Who knows? We're not entirely too sure. I'm assuming for sure Raw for Netflix, because that's going to be like a huge, I'm sure they're going to want to, really make their first couple of shows, especially the debut show, as massive as possible. So I feel like John Cena would definitely be on that show. So I feel like that within itself is just going to add a whole lot to the Netflix stuff, where they don't need to put the bloodline on there, and the bloodline can remain over, once they officially go to USA Network after they're done with Fox.
Yeah, and then who knows? I mean, maybe there's nothing that's been set in stone that it must be a distinction in brands from here to eternity, right? Like, they could change the way that they do that. We did the post-draft show together, and we were like, all right, we're still doing, we're still doing this, and in some ways it makes sense because you want the same cast of characters on each show, and the synergy in the storylines, and again, the distinction between the championships, which we discussed earlier in this show. But at the same time, would we be going apoplectic if they said around the time that Raw goes on Netflix, actually, we're all one big brand and one show leads into the other show? I mean, that
I wouldn't hate that. Honestly, yeah. I wouldn't hate that. I know a lot of people really like the brand split. I would be okay with it if we didn't have a brand split. But at the same time, I've sort of gotten used to it, though. And it's hard, right? Change is hard.
I wouldn't mind it in the slightest, because it would mean you get the biggest stars the chance to pull up on any given show, right? Like, I mean, that's
and we wouldn't have to always rely on Roman Reigns showing up on SmackDown for it to be a good show. The first and foremost, honestly. Thank you so much to Chris Ledeck for this. Alrighty, let's go ahead and continue on. I want to get into our next topic, and the next one that I want to get into is LA Knight versus Santos Escobar. LA Knight defending his U.S. title for the very first time. Can I just say, I thought Santos Escobar was an awesome opponent for LA Knight. I thought this was LA Knight's best SmackDown match that we have seen, because he's had good PLE matches, great, whatever. But focusing primarily on SmackDown, I thought this match was clean. He looked good. His opponent looked good. They had really great moments between both of them. I honestly thought this was my favorite LA Knight SmackDown match.
I think you might be right. And I think LA Knight has been in the lab addressing what we would say is his weakness, which is his in-ring work. I think he has made some strides there, which, credit to him, it's hard probably to make strides at his age. You know, we've talked about his age being a detriment in the past and his in-ring work being a detriment in the past. And now he's addressing his in-ring work at an advanced age, which is more difficult to do. But I think it's been clear, or at least he's more confident in it, whatever the case may be, because the U.S. title feels bigger. And some of that credit should go to Logan Paul for holding it when he did. But being that it was the coronation moment for, LA Knight, and everything that's led up to that, I like to see him running with it, and he did that. I mean, I thought that match was clean. I thought, his springboard up to the top rope for the elbow.
He did it differently this time, did he not? It looked different to me. It seemed like he did some extra footwork there on the ropes.
Yeah, and it looked, it was just like, it was precise. It was clean, right into his finisher, which is strong. So I thought, overall, it was just a very solid TV match. That also went on to show that LA Knight maybe is being primed, or has primed himself for better performances in the big PLE matches.
And I think two other things to take away from this too, aside from both of those guys, is that there seemed to be some frustration there with Santos afterwards, where he was like yelling at Humberto and Angel Garza. So I'm wondering, what's going to happen there? Are they going to remain a unit? Are they not? We'll see. So I thought that was interesting. Another thing that I thought was interesting was a pairing of Baron Corbin and Apollo Crews. So, Robin, I don't know how much of NXT you saw, but when Baron Corbin was on NXT, he was teaming up with Braun Breaker, and they ended up formulating this friendship as a tag team. They were calling themselves the Wolf Dogs. And Braun Breaker, for the most part, hadn't really shown too much personality at that point, and that was sort of what was causing people to sort of turn at one point with Braun Breaker, because people did turn on Braun Breaker on NXT at one point. And then they sort of brought it all back. All of a sudden, you start to show personality. He was teaming with Baron. They won the tag team titles, and it was fun, and it was lively. And then, of course, he got caught up to the main roster, so they separated. They both went their separate ways. But now I wonder if they're trying to sort of replicate that with him and Apollo. Apollo, somebody who's sort of, he was on the main roster forever. It wasn't working out for him. He went to NXT, did possibly his best work in WWE on NXT, then got called up back to the main roster. So now you have two guys that were sort of, not really in peak prime positions, possibly start working together. I don't know. Do you dig the idea?
Yeah, I mean, look, I think that has got to be one of the more challenging parts of a Triple H's job, is balancing, because we talked about all the titles before, and you had to introduce, because there is more talent. But what do you do with the people down the card who haven't really found their place, but you still may have belief in or future plans for, or you're trying to find it? Baron Corbin's a great example of that. That's a guy who's bounced around with various gimmicks, and they had him with JBL for a minute there, and whatever that was.
That was awful. And I said it from like day one. I'm like, this is not going to work. This is terrible. I was right.
Hey, gotta make sure people know when you're right? They'll always let you know when it's the other way. But that's a difficult thing to do. So I'm not going to say that I'm sitting here super excited about it yet, but I will say I appreciate the effort, and I'll let it, I'll see where it goes as a result of that, because that is a hard thing to do, is balance the entirety of the roster and then make people even care about the performers who aren't getting as much television time or haven't been elevated as of yet.
It's a chemistry test, right? Like all actors do it, a screen test, see how their chemistry comes off on screen. And I feel like that's what we're starting to see hints of with Apollo and Baron Corbin. So we'll see how that works out and we'll see what they make of that. There was a backstage segment where, well, not backstage, because technically Carmelo was supposed to be in a barbershop. So he's in his barbershop, right? Carmelo's been doing his barbershop. Wow, I cannot say barbershop. His barbershop stuff since his NXT days. And he's there, he's cutting a promo all serious. And then Andrade breaks through and gets in there. Robin, I was so ready for a brawl in a barbershop. I was so ready for it. I was so bummed out when it didn't happen. I started yelling, fight, fight, fight. But basically, they made another match between these two guys next week's SmackDown. And I feel like Triple H knows what he has here with both of them. This is working. At least right now, the matches have been very entertaining. Now it's just a matter of, making this angrier, making this grittier, a grittier feud.
Yeah, it's hard because I can't even hear the word barbershop in association with pro wrestling and not think about Shawn Michaels and Marty Jannetty.
I was thinking it as I was saying it.
Marty Jannetty just threw himself through the barbershop window. I can't. Such a good commentary by
just goes
Bobby.
Together.
R.I.P. Bobby the Brain. But yeah, that was it's just like one of the iconic moments. So I just even hear you talking about fighting in a barbershop and I'm watching Shawn Michaels super kick Marty Jannetty in my head.
I love it. I love it. Alrighty. So I guess we'll talk more about that next week, see how that match turns out and how much more to continue to further that feud. All right. But next up, I want to get into the women's stuff here because we had Alba, Fyre, Isla, Dawn, and Blair versus Jade, Bianca, and Naomi. This was another really fun match. This reminds me of like the girls with school spirit versus the girls with no school spirit, the outcast. That's literally what this match felt like. Like these 6 women could not be more different whatsoever. But what I did love about this was Naomi getting the win for her team because I feel like Naomi is sort of, I think she's underrated. I feel like she hasn't really gotten her due. And even when she came back, I thought, oh man, finally, like she's going to get her due here in WWE. And she kind of started for a bit, right? But she has sort of again fallen behind the scenes. And I feel like, I don't know, she always kind of finds herself in that position. So whenever I do see Naomi have any moments where she's thriving on the show, it does feel pretty cool to, to just acknowledge that.
Yeah, I like her too. From the entrance music down to some of the acrobatics she's done in Royal Rumbles and Money in the Bank matches. Obviously, she had the high profile thing with Sasha, now Mercedes. That probably, it's hard when you're gone like that and then you come back to be reintegrated immediately and it'd be perfect. But I think they're approaching it with the right energy and obviously the trio makes a ton of sense for a number of reasons. And I saw Bianca and Jade talking about working together on that panel and Jade talked about the adjustment coming from, by the way, she was very, she said she was proud of where she came from. For the fans out there. And then she did talk about the adjustment of coming over to WWE and what it's like working with the type of talent that she's working with, but the how arduous it is on the road. But as part of that, it's so nice to be able to have Bianca there to lean on. And that probably goes for Naomi now as well. And I think Naomi is the one who benefits the most from the association in this case, because Jade just has that, she walks in the door and it is what it is. Like it's
right.
And obvious, even if she might have weaknesses and might need to be polished up and everything, she's got the presence that can't be taught. Bianca has the pedigree, and then Naomi, being on that level, you're like, oh yeah, she's on that level.
I feel like Naomi has a little bit of both, right? Because Jade, you mentioned her aura, you mentioned who she is as a star. She's got the complete look, right? You don't necessarily mention the wrestling. With Bianca, it's the wrestling is, stupendous. It's phenomenal. She's, really set the bar. I mean, God, she was, being referred to as Miss WrestleMania at one point. And she also has the look and the aura and all of that. But I feel like Naomi is kind of a cross of both of them, where she can go in the ring and she also looks great. So she just kind of has like a little bit of both Bianca and Jade in her. So this was good stuff. Also, they did announce a match for Bash at Berlin. We are going to be seeing Jade and Bianca challenge once again for the women's tag titles against Alba, Fyre, and Isla Dawn. And I mean, I think this is we need to sort of just fix things. And
they need to snatch their chains back.
Right. Let's just go back to the way we were. Go back to it. Give them the titles and let's start this thing all over and get the ball sort of rolling again.
Yeah, I mean, look, it was a nice nod, I think, and where the location when the titles changed hands before, but sometimes, there's levels to this, and there's a clear distinction here, and you need that dominance back for Bianca and Jade to help. The titles are more than just props; they are also symbols of accomplishment and level. And I think you need those with those two to eventually build to the mega power explosion that is sure to come at some point.
Yeah, exactly. Like again, I feel like we're starting all over because, like you mentioned, we're gonna get that mega powers explosion between both of these girls, but you first got to build up the friendship all over again from the beginning. It really feels like they crossed out, they erased. We write it again. We got to get back to that because unfortunately, I feel like they could have done something with Alba and Isla. And for the most part, like now it seems like they're starting to get the ball rolling for them. But now it seems like it's going in a different direction where they don't necessarily need the tag team titles. And I'm feeling what they're starting to do on Raw, over there with Damage Control, with the Pure Fusion Collection or Collective, whatever the hell they're calling them over there. So it seems like there's more playthings for them over on Raw. So take the titles over to Bianca and Jade, and let's just get that all settled. Alrighty, we got one more thing to get into, and it's sort of pretty much ties in with the Bloodline. I know we talked about the Bloodline in terms of Cody Rhodes and all of that, but let's talk about the Bloodline in terms of what we saw with the Street Profits here today. So just a heads up, we got Solo Sikoa has been promoted to, what did he say, personal enforcer or bodyguard? I don't even know what he said.
You mean Jacob Fatu?
Oh, yeah, I'm sorry. What did I say? Did I say Solo Sikoa? Yeah. Solo Sikoa promoted Jacob Fatu, excuse me.
Yeah. Well, look, I mean, Jacob Fatu has been promoted to that without it being said, right? We all know he's the guy that does that. He's the boss you have to beat the level of the video game. And he has been, that's one of the things they've done very effectively. We didn't even talk about it last week, obviously, but Roman Reigns getting taken out by Jacob Fatu. When he was injured, I thought they might be trying to keep them away because they need that sort of moment to happen. And they did that moment where Roman got blitzed by Jacob Fatu. I'll say this for Solo, he's got heat. The problem is you can't believe him in a match, in a main event, but he's got heat. The entrance music is heat. All that stuff is kind of working for him. How did
you feel about the fans chanting, "You can't wrestle"?
Was that at him or was that at the Tonga?
I first thought it was at Solo Sikoa.
Oh,
and I wasn't sure if it was to freaking Tama Tonga.
I think it was to Tama Tonga.
Okay, I was not sure, but either way, or Tongaloa.
I think it was the Tongaloa.
My whole time I was just thinking, ouch, though. There's nothing worse than being chanted at, "You can't wrestle." That's humiliating.
Yeah, that is rough. That is rough. But look, I mean, I feel like those two feel on a, Solo at least has a presence and an aura and a clear weakness. Jacob Fatu is a monster and a beast and is being presented as such. The other two feel like lackeys and henchmen that, get beat up as the good guy runs through to make it to the actual bad guy. But yeah, I don't even like hearing that from anybody because it is their profession. It is, what they do and they put all their hard work into. I get it. Fans can chant whatever they want and wrestling fans are part of the experience and they make the product better. But yeah, that's got to be a rough one to take because that's the kind of one you could take home with you.
Yeah, because it's not like you can't wrestle chants every single day. Of course, we have gotten them several times in the past, but they're kind of rare. You don't get them all the time, but it's embarrassing. I think those chants for the person is very embarrassing because it's not the kind of heat where it's like, "Boo, you suck, you're an evil heel," right? No, it's literally people saying you legitimately do suck.
Yeah, you're not good at your job. You're not good at what is your occupation title? Professional wrestler? You're not good at it.
Right, exactly. And it's just like, oh man, and I get it. The botched blow job. I'm so, oh my god.
Whoa, Pillow Princess. Pillow Princess out of pocket coming in hot.
my God. To say low blow.
I mean, I guess in a way that would be a low blow.
Stop, like I said it with such confidence too. Low blow. Low blow. The botched low blow. I was gonna say, can you even botch a blow job?
I guess, like I said, that may be a low blow in a way. I guess. I mean, yeah. I don't know. I don't want to take it too far to its. I don't want to blow my load here. I'm talking about.
Robin, I'm done. I can't bounce back from that. I'm supposed to be a professional.
that one's for the that one's for the blooper reel, I think.
Low blow. All right. I was just thinking, I mean, come on. All right. I called freaking Jacob Fatu Santos Escobar. That's where I'm at right now mentally.
You work really hard, Denise. It's okay. You're allowed to botch your blow. I mean,
I can't. I was out in the sun today, everybody. It was a lot that happened to me. Oh my gosh. Anyways, he had the botched low blow that went viral.
Yes.
I can't. Oh my God. All right, we got some super chats here. This is from Stephen Marchuli, who says, hot take, when the split happens with Jade and Bianca, let Bianca be the heel. I think we would all want to see that. See if she has what it takes to do that.
It's interesting because it's also risky. John Cena famously never turned heel. Bianca has that, like, little girls love her. She has that inspiration thing going. She's somehow been able to be a face for a long time. Even if she hasn't necessarily always been here, she's always been at least here, right? Like, she's never fallen to a point where people aren't into her. But it would definitely, I think, be the more interesting route, but it's also the riskier one. And sometimes the risk pays off big.
We got Gabe Tough here, who says Max Ryan Robin was the best sports show in 2006.
That was he's referencing, I think he's talking about Brian. I used to do a show with Ryan Rucco, which is Ryan, but I also did a show with Max Kellerman and Brian Kenny back on ESPN in New York, ESPN Radio in New York.
That's awesome. We got Nell D, who says, damn, knew I shouldn't have missed SmackDown, #blow. I can't. The irony, too, that I botched it while talking about somebody else botching. That's karma. That's karma right there. We got Chris Ledeck, who says, wow, Denise, you're definitely no pillow princess. You clearly have 5 stars on the brain and you're still neck strong a year later. Also, Robin, I love the Hulk and Wolverine figures, but Daredevil is the GOAT. I do like Daredevil.
We've got some interesting comic stories, the Frank Miller run, but, both Hulk and Wolverine piece his ass up in a fight.
Who's your favorite, superhero?
Wolverine was growing up, and the X-Men were growing up. Hence, that comic book back there is actually Incredible Hulk number 181, which is the first appearance of Wolverine in the comics, and that's why the Wolverine and Hulk statues are on either side of it.
I love it. Mine's is Iron Man.
Well, the Iron Man was like, Denise, Iron Man coming up was like always a good character, but he was like a B-level character, like in the big crossovers, the comic crossovers. And I always thought to myself, he would make a better movie character maybe. And then lo and behold, they put the entire thing on his back. I mean, it's why this is a whole separate show and podcast I could talk about. But the fact that they were able to do what they did without, at the time, the access to their big characters, which were Spider-Man and the X-Men, namely Wolverine, is amazing. And Iron Man became one of those characters through the process of those movies. Because if you had told me in the past, not just Marvel, but what's the superhero Mount Rushmore, I would say it's Batman, Superman, Wolverine, and Spider-Man. And since the movies, you now have an argument for Iron Man. That's how big that character became through the MCU.
Because I'm not big into Marvel or superheroes or any of that stuff, but I would go to watch the movies with my husband. Primarily, I went to eat, to be honest. I'm like, okay, he enjoys the movie. I get myself some nachos and an icy. I call myself, that's a win for me, right? But I found myself, out of all of the characters, I found myself most interested in Iron Man. I thought he was funny. Obviously, Robert Downey Jr. is a very handsome man. So they won me over. I'm like, comedy and he's good looking. Oh, I'll keep showing up to these movies just to see Iron Man. So it kind of won for, I would consider myself, a casual. That's what I would consider myself, a casual in this space.
You know he's playing Dr. Doom now, right?
No, I have no idea.
Robert Downey
Up with
Jr.
that.
is now playing Dr. Doom, who will be the main villain of the next arc.
Oh, I think I heard someone talking about that.
Was
Someone was talking about that to me, and I was just like,
It was a controversial thing, obviously, because of how beloved he was as Tony Stark and Iron Man. How can he now be the villain?
But it's all in the same universe?
It's all in the same universe, yeah.
But are people going to know that that's Iron Man, or it's a completely different person?
He's saying he's playing Victor Von Doom, I believe, which would, at first I thought it was how they do the multiverse thing where there's one character from the one universe and another character who's the same character, but from a different universe and maybe bad things. I thought maybe there was an evil Iron Man, but apparently he's playing an entirely different character.
So it's like you can't even, okay, that makes sense. Just a whole brand new person.
Yeah.
I mean, it's kind of weird.
It is kind of weird. It depends on how much they're going to show his face or how they're going to do it. Because Dr. Doom also wears a mask.
Yeah.
So,
Okay.
Maybe that plays into how they pull it off. But it's definitely going to be interesting. He's getting paid like $80 million to do the movie.
Oh, $80 million?
Yes.
For one role, one movie.
Yeah.
No way.
Yeah.
Oh my God. I had no idea. Is he like the most paid one?
He's got to be. And he's already made so much bank because he had like a residual deal on the other movies, like where he got a certain share cut off the profit and they wound up being the most successful movies ever. Right? Like, so, yeah, that was the report that he's getting like 80 mil.
That's insane. Yeah. I mean, I would show up in a different role for $80 million too. I'd be like, paint my face, put a bag over me. I don't care. I want $80 million.
Pillow Princess the musical.
Oh my God. We got Sheldon Jackson who says Pillow Princess botch BJ's hashtag next strong and Hawktua. This chat is wildin' and I love it. Now, Denise, you can use any of this Blue Chew ads now. Sheldon, thank you so much for the super chat, man. I appreciate you. I don't appreciate you for the Pillow Princess, but hey, appreciate you for everything else. Just kidding. I can't believe it. It's my new gimmick, Pillow Princess. All right, but with that being said, guys, that is SmackDown for today. So happy to be here each and every single time that we get to talk SmackDown. I hate missing shows. Obviously, we've been missing a few. Well, primarily because of me, because of all the going places and stuff like that. So just to give everybody a rundown, this next week, I will be here for the Raw watch along. So come in, hang out with that. Tuesday, I will be here for NXT. This week, I am leaving to Berlin, so there is no Dynamite show and there is no SmackDown show. But then next week, when I come back, we'll sort of get back into the rhythm of things. So just keep checking out the page and you guys will know. Chances are everybody already knows when I'm at shows. So just keep an eye out for that Berlin content. It'll be coming. I'm going to try to get some cool stuff. So make sure you guys are subscribed here to the channel. We officially hit 170,000 subscribers, so I couldn't be happier about that. So thank you so much to everybody who subscribed. Really, really appreciate that a whole lot. Robin, what do you got going on?
Yeah, you can check out my YouTube channel as well. I run a women's basketball website through Sports Illustrated, women's fast break on SI, covering all the going on there. Hit me up on my channel with the suggestions for what I can do with my Yeet loving son as well, because I'm kicking around. Maybe just go. That's usually the best lesson, is just go and figure it out as you go. But I got a lot going on.
You can always change your YouTube channel name.
Yeah.
Unless, I mean, you're going to keep it on the same channel.
No, I think I might create a whole separate channel for it.
Okay.
I think
so then you can change the channel. Just keep like a generic URL, or don't pick your URL yet, because your URL you cannot change. But the name you can.
That's true, because he's gone through a couple different iterations of YouTube channels in the past, but looking forward to doing that. And then you can catch me on Sirius XM as well.
I love it. Alrighty, everybody. Thank you guys so much for all of the love and support. We hope you have a great weekend. Do not forget, this Sunday, Reg and I will be live to do an AEW All In watch along. Come hang out with us. Come watch All In with us. We'll have a great time. Thank you, everybody. Have an awesome weekend. Bye.